This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball. Happy Labor Day. It's the Cardinals and the Pittsburgh Pirates on Fox Sports Midwest, the first of three. Finish with a flourish. The Cardinals would love to do that in 2014. They've been the best in baseball in the final month of September since 2011 in the game. That's a look at the BJC Healthcare Difference Maker. And along with Rick Horton, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Delighted to have you with us. That's right, the first place St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Pirates. And what an entertaining month this should be.
Well, it's fun that it's September now. According to Mike Matheny, he said there's a buzz in the air right now. At first he thought it was because the Cubs were in town, and then he said no, it's because it's September baseball. Something very special about that.
Last time we saw the Pirates, it was just last week. They're playing good baseball. It comes down to starting pitching. They've got a good one going today. Garrett Cole, Lance Lynn for St. Louis. Baseball coming up. 9 RBIs in his last 2 games, and against the Pirates starter Garrett Cole, very good numbers, 5 for 9 with a double. At the back end of games, the Cardinals have Trevor Rosenthal. He made history yesterday with save number 40 this year, the second fastest in Cardinals history to get to 40. There have been 5 that have gotten to 40 saves. Lee Smith, Trevor Rosenthal, Jason Isringhausen, Bruce Sutter, not pictured and listed, Jason Mott, the all-time single-season saves record, 47, held by Izzy and Lee Smith. Rosenthal has a chance to set that all-time record. A look at the Great Red Shandies. Baseball comes your way next. Is brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Here's to Budweiser, here's to baseball. Come in and visit Mid-American Chevy dealers and make your move to Chevrolet today. And by Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. A look at the NL Central. The Cardinals in first place. They are tied with Milwaukee. Pittsburgh 2 games back. Milwaukee at Wrigley Field today. Jimmy Nelson against the St. Louis and now pitching for the Cubs, Jacob Turner. That game will start in 5 minutes. We'll keep an eye on it all afternoon long. Clint Hurdle's lineup: Josh Harrison, remarkable season, the All-Star. Then Lambeau, McCutchen, Walker, Martin, Ike Davis, who tore up the Cardinals last week, Marte, Mercer, and the pitcher Cole. Our Kia starter this afternoon, right-hander Lance Lynn.
And this is a rematch of the game on October 26th that was in Pittsburgh between Lynn and Garrett Cole. Both pitchers pitched very well. Lynn having an outstanding season. He keeps going deep into games, and he has become a strike pitcher as well.
Right on cue, a strike to Josh Harrison, and we're underway here at Busch Stadium. Lynn is looking for his 15th win and a chance to join St. Louis in. The Detroit Tiger right-hander Max Scherzer is the only pitchers in baseball with 15 plus in each of the last 2 seasons. That's consistency. $80 our game time temperature here at Busch Stadium, and that just missed. The Pirates lost yesterday, but they have won 4 of 5. Ripped out to left field, and a leadoff base hit for Harrison. Ball really jumps off his bat. He's got power and speed. Cardinals defense behind Lynn today. Matt Holliday, the hero over the weekend. John Jay in center. Oscar Taveras is in right. Daniel Descalso has started third base. Johnny Peralta is at short. Pete Kozma at second. Matt Adams is at first. Yadier Molina behind the plate. Around the Horn is brought to you by Dobbs. No Matt Carpenter. He's been struggling a bit, so he gets a rest. We'll see him either later today or certainly back in the starting lineup tomorrow.
The Descalso flexibility coming into play in this homestand. He's played short, he's played first, now he plays third, and Mike Matheny saying that they've been trying to get Matt Carpenter a day off for about a week now, and it just has not really worked to be able to do it. And you know, that guy wants to play every day, but clearly he was showing some signs of fatigue and needed a day off, and they just couldn't get him one.
1 ball and 1 strike. How about the win yesterday, Ricky, by St. Louis? And really the last 2 over the Chicago Cubs.
Well, the bats have just come alive in the last 2 games. It's been fun to see, and they've also been scoring late in games. Holliday providing a lot of the punch, but it hasn't just been Matt Holliday. Johnny Peralta has swung the bat well in the last couple of days, hitting .440 in his last 8 games. So it's really a team effort, and you hope it just carries through September and maybe beyond.
Jay makes the catch on the run. Long way to go. Playing deep for Andrew Lambeau, who does have good power, and a couple of years ago considered their top prospect.
Interesting, Lambeau's in the lineup in an important game for Clint Hurdle. It's a bit surprising to me that Polanco not playing, Pedro Alvarez not in the lineup today. We've seen a lot of him at first base because of the errors he's made. Clint Hurdle going with Lambeau, who had big numbers in AAA, and he's hoping for lightning in the bottle from him in September.
Here's Andrew McCutchen dealing with that sore rib injury, the broken rib suffered against Arizona on a hit by pitch. He's hitting .307 with 20 home runs, and he has driven in 71. Certainly a very good chance at the batting championship for McCutchen. Also for Josh Harrison. Out to deep left field. Holliday on the move. Won't get there. It hops over the wall. It's a ground rule double. And with that, the Cardinals catch a break as Harrison back to the bag at third.
McCutchen didn't even square that ball up very well, but that's just his pure power. I think the ball got in on him a little bit. I don't want to say it was mishit, but he didn't really hit it on the screws. It's a pitch in on his hands, actually off the end of the bat. His bat's so quick, but he didn't really crush that ball, but it still has a tremendous carry and bounces over the wall. And I agree with you, Dan, that's a break for St. Louis.
The Cardinals face Neil Walker, who's batting cleanup, the second baseman, a switch hitter. And he has been struggling as of late. 3 for his last 25 with 5 strikeouts. Cardinals have been making a habit of falling behind early, then coming back as Walker drills it out to right center field. This ball will get down, and it's off the wall. 2 runs will score, and it's 2-0 Pittsburgh, and a rough start here for Lynn. A single, back-to-back doubles, 2-0 Pittsburgh.
Just about ready to say, Dan, the kind of quandary you're in as a team when you look at the numbers you talked about with Neil Walker and how poor he's done lately. But you know what he's done against the Cardinals, and you know what he's capable of. First base is open, so you kind of put that all together and say, how do we pitch to him? And you can't even get it out, and Walker jumps on the first pitch up in the zone and drives it.
When Lance Lynn is right, ball is down in the zone. And we've seen some pitches up early on. 10 pitches. Majority of those have been up and hammered by Pittsburgh. 1 out runner at second. And that pitch taken for a ball by Russell Martin, the catcher, hitting .293. This guy's a good player. 7 home runs. He's driven in 51.
I think Lance Lynn has the ability to go up in the zone, but it depends on the count. You don't live there at the beginning of the count, but at times with 2 strikes, he can elevate and get hitters to chase. He'll get strikeouts up, but very different when you're talking about the first pitch.
real difference for the Pirates down the stretch is whether or not they can win on the road. They have 17 games remaining on the road. They're 10 below 500 on the road this year. Cardinals are 13 above 500 here at Busch Stadium.
Cardinals have shown the last 2 games that they can come from behind and score late. With caution, however, that they weren't facing Garrett Cole in either of those 2 games.
Here's a 1-1 pitch.
So don't let the lead get out of hand early.
1-2. It's a rain delay with San Francisco and Colorado. They're tied 2-2. It's not just the Central Division, but for all these teams that we're talking about, it's about the wild card too. 1-2 the count on Russell Martin. Fastball high.
Dan, I've got a new team to root for every single day for the month of September. And very excited that my good friend Tom Lawless was named the interim manager of the Houston Astros. So I'm an Astros fan for about 30 days.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, I'm excited for him. Longtime minor league coach. He's been at it a long time. Former Cardinal. And who could forget his home run in the '87 World Series against Frank Viola. And now he's inheriting a club that I think has actually played better than people predicted they would play.
Rick, they can have a chance to finish last and still have the batting champion in Altuve and the home run champ as well. Think about that. Here's a 3-2 pitch. And he walked him. So runners at first and second. 1 out, and it brings in a dangerous left-handed bat with power, Ike Davis. I mentioned he tore up the Cardinals. It was just last week. He had a couple of home runs. One of those was off the bench in a pinch hit 3-run shot off of Seth Maness against the rest of the major leagues outside of St. Louis in those 3 games. He struggled.
That tells me the Cardinals made some mistakes to him too. I think that was clear when you watch those swings and a lot of those pitches out over the plate and in his wheelhouse. And certainly he's a guy with power, but you think you could pitch to him. Just don't make a mistake. A lot of big league hitters like that.
1 out, runners at first and second. Cardinals have really talked about how Lance Lynn has been able, for the most part, to really control his emotions. He's gotten better in that regard. And he's been consistent. But today, struggling here in the top of the first. 2 balls and no strikes. Big happy 100th birthday to Rose Kern of Belleville, Illinois. She never misses a game here at the ballpark or watching from home or whether we're on the road. So happy birthday, 100th birthday, Rose Kern of Belleville. 2-0 pitch. And it's 2-1. Cardinals have won 2 straight. After 4 losses in a row, they finished up August at 16-13. With a run differential this season at -7, and yet they're in first place. That's hard to do.
Concerned that Lance Lynn is missing high and away, and when he's off, that's where he misses. When he's not coming to the plate, he'll fall off a bit. His arm drags a bit, and it's a minor adjustment for Lance, but you've already got 2 runs on the board. The adjustment has to take place quickly.
3-1 pitch is popped up. Molina will give chase, and he does have room to make the catch. Not what Davis was looking to do on a 3-1 pitch.
And the problem when you're struggling with that release point, you're missing high and away and everything's a little flat. The balls you throw over the middle of the plate, you kind of pull across the plate and they're flat too. So, Lance Lynn's trying to find that right delivery and that right direction towards the plate, and always watching is Derek Lilliquist, the Cardinal pitching coach.
2 outs, 2 on for Starling Marte. 7 for 16 against Lynn. Good rip on that first pitch, and it's fouled back.
Team swings at fastballs, don't they?
They swing at fastballs, and the other thing I like about Pittsburgh, they are athletic. You think about how fast they are, the speed that they can generate with their outfield, their defense. Fun team to watch. They also have power, 4th in the National League in home runs.
I'd say they're a deep team, too, and I think that's where you're going with it. They're athletic, but today they've got Travis Snyder, Pedro Alvarez on the bench from the left side. You're talking about 2 starters, and by the way, one of them a home run champion. And you also have Gabby Sanchez, who's been a starter. Clint Barmas, longtime starter in the big leagues, on the bench.
And Gabby Sanchez, as you mentioned, also when you think about having depth with a team and a championship team, you love to see a good bench and a guy that can deliver a hit or two late. And off the bench, he's been good at that.
Plenty of RBIs in the pinch, and had a pinch hit against the Cardinals in Pittsburgh. So a lot of choices for Clint Hurdle on a daily basis.
In terms of pitching, team ERA, the Pirates are 8th, the Cardinals are 9th. The check swing did not go. First base umpire is James Hoy. Bill Welke, veteran, is behind the plate calling the balls and strikes. Ron Kolpa, the crew chief, at second. Paul Emmel down at third.
2 Pirates you worry about in the lineup who hit Lance Lynn well. Josh Harrison, who's done it today, and the batter at the plate, Starling Marte.
Now time is called as Molina may want to change up the signs or talk about what they want to agree upon on a 2-2 pitch. Big gap in left center. Big crowd still filing in. The 2-2 pitch from Lance Lynn. Driven out to center. Jay going back. Come on, John. Nice play. That saves 2 runs. Outstanding catch by John Jay in center. Ball was smoked, and Jay comes up with a terrific catch in center field. Cardinals coming up in the home half of the first. Pirates. And when you don't see Matt Carpenter hop out of the dugout to lead things off, it just seems different. That'll be the case here today.
John Jay, a nice choice, though. He's done so well with the bat situational hitter, and he's been such a surprise all season long. It'll be Jay, Taveras, and Holiday, 1, 2, 3, followed by Adams, Peralta, and Molina in the middle. Descalzo, the third baseman, we've already highlighted him. Pete Kozma, a big hit yesterday, will play second base and bat eighth, and the pitcher hitting ninth, Lance Lynn. Garrett Cole for Pittsburgh, 9 strikeouts, Dan, the last time we saw him in Pittsburgh. He sits right around 96 miles an hour, so he is not going to be easy.
And when we saw him last time out, we were thinking we might be seeing history. Get a no-hitter midway through that game. The Cardinals, for a while, early on, were overmatched. He was outstanding. What a great play by John Jay moments ago. I mentioned run differential. The Cardinals are -7. And St. Louis on the verge of being one of the only teams ever to finish with a negative run differential and yet win a division. Jay, base hit into center. This guy has had some kind of year. Pittsburgh defensively, and here's that speed in the outfield with Starling Marte, Andrew McCutchen, and Lambeau in right. Harrison, Mercer, Walker, and Davis along the infield. Russell Martin is behind the plate.
Interesting contrast there in the styles of leadoff hitters. Matt Carpenter would still be at the plate right now, and the count would be 2-2. He'd foul one off, right. Then it'd be 3-2, and then it'd foul another one off. John Jay just goes up swinging, doesn't he?
And it'd be a walk probably with Matt Carpenter too. Here's Oscar Taveras. Taveras hitting in the second spot in this lineup. There's some that believe this is where he'll eventually wind up if he can get on track and be the hitter that most expect.
He hasn't had a lot of hits in his last few games, but Mike Matheny mentioned that he believes he's very close. He's had some good at-bats, and he just really had a feeling about him being in that second spot. He considered Daniel Descalzo there.
And a double play ball. 4-6-3. We should update the fans on Colton Long, who's also an option at that second spot. Remember, he banged the back of his head going out on a pop-up late in the game yesterday and went through concussion test, which is the protocol now in Major League Baseball, and everything is okay.
Everything cleared as far as the tests were concerned, and Colton spoke to the media after the game, and he talked about being dizzy a little bit. And I think Mike Matheny, as he mentioned before the game today to those of us in his office, that it is something that he takes very seriously, having been through it a lot himself, the concussion reality. And here's the play. Colton Long going back, a little bit awkward right here as the ball's over his shoulder, and that causes him to hit his head on the ground, and he was dazed a bit, dizzy, and needed help getting off the field. And just glad to hear that their tests worked out fine for Colton Long, and Mike Matheny didn't rule out him being in the lineup tomorrow.
1 ball and 1 strike on the red-hot Matt Holliday. Outfield is deep. Average up to 267 as he bailed out the Cardinals in back-to-back games. Holliday, home run yesterday, also the double off the wall, and then the game-winning RBIs. The series over the weekend against Chicago, 3 of the 6 hits went over the wall. 10 RBIs to jump up his total to 78. And he did not go to even it up at 2-2. Also wearing an elbow pad. You may recall he was hit by a pitch right on the elbow. His second to last at bat of the ball game. Here's a 2-2. Teams have really been trying to bust Holliday in, which has been the case essentially since he came up to the major leagues. But if you're Garrett Cole and you're close to triple digits, they're really trying to go inside on Matt.
Well, when Holliday was hit on that elbow for the second time, that came in the 7th inning. He hit that rocket off the pitcher, Villanueva, an inning later. And I was pretty impressed by that because he was in pain after that hit by pitch.
First strikeout for Garrett Cole. 2-0 Pittsburgh after 1. On top, as we say hello to Jim Hayes. And Jim, let's start with some good news with Michael Wacha.
Yeah, he had that rehab start for Double-A. Springfield pitched very well. Total of 34 pitches, Dan. He threw 2 innings, gave up 1 hit, no runs. And John Mozeliak said Ryan Franklin was there watching him, said Wacha looked good, good velocity, and said he felt good after the game. The next step for Wacha, they're going to talk to him today and talk to the medical staff. It could be a return to St. Louis for a piggyback start or another rehab start with Memphis possibly on Friday, Dan.
And Thursday, that start was in question. If things were right, it would be Justin Masterson. Things have not been right, so what direction does the club go?
Yeah, John Mozeliak was on with us on the pregame show, and he said Masterson is no longer in the mix for the start on Thursday. Likely he'll go to the bullpen, and they're trying to decide between Marco Gonzalez and Tyler Lyons. John Mozeliak saying both guys pitched very well in their last appearance, and they feel like they have 2 very good options. They'll probably make a decision about that sometime today, Dan.
And, Jim, let's go back to what a piggyback start is and how that would work potentially with Michael Wacha. What are the options there in terms of the piggyback and how it works with Michael Wacha as Jordy Mercer grounds out to short?
Well, you figure if he gets a good report from his start yesterday through 34 pitches, maybe they'll up that to 50 or 60 pitches. So if he does start with the Cardinals, Dan, they'll need to have one of the long relievers or a guy who has started ready to jump in when Wacha shows signs of fatigue or reaches that pitch count, because obviously he's going to be on a very strict pitch count, Dan.
All right, Jimmy, thanks. Here's Garrett Cole. It was 13 balls, 13 strikes by Lance Lynn in the first inning. 1 out, nobody on, and Cole looks at strike 1. Big Cardinal fan Mary Jane Cusimano is watching on Fox Sports Midwest and hoping for a Cardinal win as Cole fights it off and picks up a 1-out base hit into shallow right. Let's turn to our Toyota keys to the game from Rick Horton.
We've already talked about the starting pitchers, but it really is going to be a power struggle here this afternoon because both pitchers are very solid, strong, strikeout type pitchers, and who will pitch better today is going to be the key to the game. In the first place, Serge thought about the Cardinals pounding the ball offensively the last 2 days, coming into September, now realizing they're in a place they haven't been in a very long time, in first place. And what does that do to this club as September begins here in terms of making them think like they're now the one being chased instead of chasing?
It was the Cardinals' win combined with Milwaukee's loss to San Francisco yesterday that pulled them into a tie for the Central lead. First time since July 20th that the Brewers don't have sole possession of the division lead. This time last year, Pittsburgh was in first place entering the month of September. And the Cardinals used a 19-8 month to overtake Pittsburgh, win the Central Division, and then defeated Pittsburgh in the division series, and the rest is history.
I think to push that point, Dan, it's really just a snapshot of where we are today, but it is the beginning of the month, and I've talked to a number of Cardinal fans that just the thought of, hey, the team's in first place, it's just an attitude change. I mean, it's just a different way to look at the club. And I guess my point is, do the players feel that same way today coming to the ballpark, realizing, hey, we are good. We're a first-place team, and now let's go out and keep playing like it. I think that's what you hope for in terms of the surge.
You mentioned the Cardinals scoring late and winning some of these late games. Championship teams, Matt Holliday talking about that afterwards yesterday, find a way to do it, and I think that's part of the proof in the pudding. When you're a championship team, you win those games.
And that's starting to gel a little more with this team. And there's a sense when you're down 5-0 to the Cubs that the game's not over. And I can't say that that was true 2 months ago, 3 months ago. They didn't have a lot of games like that. And then once you start doing it, you do it once, you do it twice, you do it 3 times, then you expect it. Doesn't mean it's going to happen every night, but you start to expect it to happen.
Ground ball slowly hit to short. Out at second. The turn by Kozma. Not in time. Mentioned that Harrison can really run. And Garrett Cole I don't think he wanted any part of trying to go into Pete Cosme here.
Well, they teach pitchers to break up a double play a little bit different than they teach fielders. This is what you do if you're a pitcher. You run down, you start jogging, and you get out of Dodge.
See you later. Brings in Andrew Lambeau. You know, John Jay made the catch to end the top of the first off the bat of Marte. Also made a very good catch in shallow left center to retire Lambeau his first time up. And a check on the runner Harrison. He's back in safely. The pitch taken high. Lance Lynn appearing for the 15th time in his career against Pittsburgh. 13 of those appearances have been starts. Remember, he worked out of the bullpen the great run of 2011. 1 ball and 1 strike.
There's the pitch up in the zone that works for Lance Lynn. Got it up just a little bit higher than the pitches that the Pirates have been hitting, and it had a little hop to it. Boom. Jumps up. Yachty has to kind of reach up and catch it. Wasn't even in the zone.
What you really like about Lance Lynn is that recent history for him personally. July and August have been tough months as that tails away from Lambeau, but this past August he had 5 starts, was 3-0 and a 1.99 ERA. So clearly he's made an adjustment to get himself right in the middle of the season.
Feels like he's just made some changes in the way he goes about his business that have kind of helped him get through the mental grind of the season, and he's kind of more prepared to do that. So give him credit, give the coaches credit with helping him with that.
Back-to-back changeups. 2-2 the count. Misses in. And the count runs full with 2 outs. So Harrison off with his pitch. A ball in the gap. He may score. Little bigger lead this time by Harrison. And now a check on the Pirates runner at first base. 80 degrees here in St. Louis. It's got the feel of September. Runner goes, and we'll do it again.
Well, that feel you're talking about is what Mike Matheny was talking about before the game. He said the players actually sensing it, that there was a little more excitement even with the crowd at the ballpark, and he was really crediting the crowd the last couple of days, saying that the players are really feeding off of that, and it's just a little bit different. And you don't like to say one game's more important than another, but there is something about the calendar turning over to September, realizing that running out of time.
So paid attendance yesterday of 45,148. Cardinals eclipsed 3 million for the 16th time in the past 17 years. 9th consecutive year they've done that here at Busch Stadium 3. If you didn't know, the Cardinals are on pace for 3.5 million tickets sold. And inside of that, an unbelievable number would be 40,000 for every home date this year. They may get there, as Lambeau is having a very, very good at bat. So there it is by the numbers. Last game under 40,000 was September 24th of last year. Said it yesterday, I'll say it again. They are undoubtedly the best fans in the game.
And they are very hopeful fans.
Lambeau drills it into right field. Back is Taveras. Looks up. It's off the wall. A relay to the plate is not in time, and Harrison scores. And give Lambeau credit. Very good at bat. Fought off some 2-strike pitches, and it's 3-0 Pittsburgh. Third double hit by Pittsburgh in the first 2 innings.
Outstanding relay by the Cardinals. This ball is hit hard by Lambeau, which may have given him a little extra time, but Harrison's running on the pitch. And as fast as he runs, a double off the wall, yet it's still a close play at the plate. He's running hard the whole way and just barely gets there in time. Oscar Taveras did a nice job of playing that off the wall. Cosma scoops it. Has a very good arm as well. Offline just a bit, but they made that as close as they could have made it.
And the first run driven in by Lambeau this season. Harrison has scored 2 of the 3 runs by Pittsburgh. And in steps Andrew McCutchen. And he takes a ball. McCutchen, a ground rule double to left, and scored a run back in the first. Check that. That was a strike on the outside half. But we know that Troy Tulowitzki will not win the batting championship. He is hurt, won't qualify. Justin Morneau is at 311. Harrison came in at 310. Ben Revere 308. Then McCutchen at 307. It's the top 4 in the National League. And what's surprising, you compare that to the American League, and those numbers completely different. And more what we're accustomed to when you think about a batting champion. Altuve is at 336. You could have a National League champion just over 300. 3-1. To go back to 1988, Tony Gwynn hit 313. Ever since then, it's always been above that mark. 3-2, and that was already pitch number 51 for Lance Lynn. You're in September, and every manager, you would think, should feel protected on their bench and in their bullpens with expanded rosters.
Yeah, and that's a plus. And the Cardinals have added some players lately. Siegrist being called up yesterday. The Cardinals did a little change of their roster with guys that they're going to eventually call back up again.
McCutchen, a fly ball out to left, playable for Matt Holliday. With the shades on, he makes the catch. Andrew Lambeau, an RBI double. Pittsburgh has jumped out to a 3-0 lead. Use the hashtag STL fan photo for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast. You mentioned Tom Lawless now managing in Houston. Apparently on that short list, Dan Kurtz. And he's a guy that coaches 8-year-olds here in St. Louis. Had a really good year with the Heaters.
And he came in second?
He was second, yep.
Well, I'm sorry for Dan, but happy for Tom Lawless. And speaking of happy for people, we didn't get a chance in our post-game show last night. We really had a segment that we wanted to get to, but so many things went on in the game, to congratulate Pop Warner and the AAA Memphis Redbirds for winning the Southern Division title in the Pacific Coast League. They finished by winning 40 of their last 55 games to win the league. Very impressive showing for Pop Warner, so congratulations.
Ooh, battling the sun and the wind off the bat of Adams. That's put away. Also, the coach of the Gators locally here in St. Louis, they're the 6-year-olds. That was Mike Basili, and apparently he was on a short list too. But they got beat out by a guy that hit a home run in the World Series, and it's been around minor league baseball for a long time.
Hit a home run, flip your bat, and people will remember you.
Good for Tom Lawless. 1 out, nobody on, and here's Johnny Peralta.
And by the way, spent 25 years grinding through all kinds of minor league situations with multiple organizations. One time was coaching in the minor leagues with the Cardinals. But he's been with a lot of organizations, and very well deserved. Great baseball guy. Very happy for him.
Rick, he might be the perfect guy in Houston. With all these young players coming up, he's probably dealt with all of them, and they have drafted well, and they're developing talent.
Well, he really helped develop Altuve in the first place. He was his player in the minor leagues when he was managing at the low levels, and kind of helped develop him and kind of pushed him a little bit, and had some of their good young pitchers too along the way. So Tom has got a combination of positive, just very positive attitude, but he's got a little old school in him too. So it'll be interesting to see how that comes out in his managing.
I always find it interesting too when you have a guy that was not an everyday player becoming a manager and having a better understanding to an extent of just how hard the game is. And not to say that guys that played every day don't, but sometimes they think it was fairly easy for me. Why don't these guys get it like I did? And also the understanding of how to run a bench.
Well, they know how to run what they used to be on quite a bit. And you can look at some of the great players of the game, Hall of Fame type players who've managed in the big leagues and struggled just because of what you're saying. It's like they'd stand at the batting cage and say, hey, just do what I did. Well, that doesn't really work. I mean, you've got to coach and teach. And think about the Cardinal great Whitey Herzog was a good player in the big leagues, not a frontline player. Time on the bench for him too, and he learned.
Peralta out in front, grounds it to third, and Peralta is out number 2.
Our favorite 199 hitting shortstop, Tony La Russa, got to the big leagues young. Now I must say an exception to this rule is the other Cardinal Hall of Famer, Red Shandy, who was a terrific player. And it can be done, it's just harder.
Here's Yadier Molina with 2 down. Nice round of applause for Yadi. Pittsburgh has controlled Molina the last 2 years. His average against the Pirates is 176. He had a 3-hit day yesterday and hitting 291. 2 balls and no strikes. Cincinnati has jumped out. Or rather, excuse me, the Chicago Cubs has jumped out to a 1-0 lead on Milwaukee in the bottom of the second. Molina, base hit into center field. Second Cardinal hit.
Yadi's timing's been pretty good since he's come back, and I would say a bit of a surprise. It's one thing to be 5 for 6 in your AA games, but after maybe a shaky first few at-bats since coming back to the big leagues, he's just been Yadi. You mentioned, Dan, the Cubs and Brewers playing today, and we're going to keep an eye on that game, obviously, all afternoon long. The Brewers had some news yesterday. Carlos Gomez hurt his thumb swinging the bat.
Base hit into right, Descalso. Little rally here in the bottom of the second with 2 outs. Back-to-back singles, and Carlos Gomez, if he misses considerable time, that would be a huge loss.
Descalso getting a chance to play. Finally gets to see a right-hander. Eyes right on the ball. That's how you hit. Head's not pulling off, following the ball all the way off the bat. Descalso making the most of his playing time here.
So 2 outs, 2 on. Key hit in the rally for the Cardinals yesterday off the bat of Pete Kozma. Kozma hits it to short, Mercer to third, and out. No argument from either Jose Oquendo or Yadier Molina. Well, that's a heck of a play by Mercer to lead Josh Harrison. That's like Roethlisberger dumping it off of the flat. Get it, Steelers, Pirates? I know you did. At third base, nearly a base hit, then turning it into an out.
And the only play. He probably can't get to second base because he's turned so awkwardly, and Harrison has to catch the ball, find the bag, beat Molina all at the same time. He's running backwards, looking backwards. Everybody's kind of doing some awkward movements there, and not really Yadi's fault. There's nothing he can do. It's just a smart play by Jordy Mercer. I don't think there's a chance in the world he gets Kozma at first or Descalso at second, so that was just very, very good defense. The Pirates, by the way, last in the National League in terms of fielding percentage. And Alvarez has something to do with it. Ike Davis, their first baseman, has a number of errors.
You know, I don't put nearly as much stock as I used to into fielding percentage, just because many times it's an athletic team that's getting to more balls and they may not make the play, but they're getting there. But it doesn't show you the true range of a defense.
Well, you also have to factor in the how plays are scored now, which also
great point
makes it very crazy from town to town. There's no equity in that at all, as far as I'm concerned, and errors that should be hits and hits that should be errors. But you're right, the athleticism, the runs saved, the out of zone plays, all very, very important metrics. But at some point, you still have to catch the ball, and the fielding percentage still indicates guys throwing the ball away, guys not having sure hands, and defense matters, but it's measured multiple ways.
Into center field, John Jay off the bat of Neil Walker. 1 out. Walker 1 for 2, and it brings in Russell Martin. Friday, September 12th, honor the troops like the pros, and 25,000 fans ages 16 and older receive a digital desert camouflage Cardinals cap. That's similar to the one worn by the Cardinals on Memorial Day. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/promotions. The Gold Glove, 75% of the vote is with the managers and the coaches around the league. There is a 25% component with sabermetrics. So whether or not you like it, it's still a part of the game today.
But you'd also say sabermetrics, and for folks that don't know that, Saber, the Society for Baseball Research, that's really where it came from. The sabermetrics is really just from that group that for a long time has been kind of a guardian of baseball statistics and studied baseball statistics and talked about it at multiple levels, but that's become more and more front and center, as it should be, as teams have adopted some of those new stats and used them to evaluate talent, to make trades. All that's good, but
Jay back again, makes the catch.
But fielding percentage is still within Saber. It's a metric. It is still something. Now, whether batting average is important as on-base percentage, it still means something.
Most important stat in the game. If you were building a team and you had to look at guys
winning
outside of the W's, which I was going to bring up.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. I'd beat you to it.
What do you think it is?
If you're going to evaluate hitters, what's the most important? I like on-base percentage. I like when you add the OPS, you add the slugging to it, you get an indication of just how the power is, kind of augments the on-base percentage. I think OPS would be something I would weigh heavily. On the defensive side, I still want to know if the guy catches the ball or not. If he makes errors, and often with the scoring, and that's where it's a little unfair to not could be concerned with fielding percentage. If a guy goes a long way to get a ball, they typically call that a hit anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that's almost taken into consideration by most official scorers. I say most.
I'll give you a stat that I don't think gets nearly enough attention. Runs scored. The idea is to win the game. So you got to get on base to score a run. And then to me, it's to an extent showing aggressiveness, being a good base runner, and hopefully you've got people behind you that drive you in. I mean, that's part of it too, obviously, being a part of a good team. But you overlook runs scored. The idea is to win the game. And I just don't think it gets enough attention.
Well, runs scored would almost be in the same level as RBIs in that case, because somebody's got to drive you in too. I mean, if you're scoring, and that's the idea, to get runs. And some would say that there's a kind of an imbalance in terms of the rest of your team, and you can control your batting average and your slugging percentage, but the runs and RBIs are a bit of a function of what people are doing ahead of you and behind you.
Absolutely. Sabermetrics, the Society for American Baseball Research.
Speaking of runs scored, Matt Carpenter can't score any by having a day off today, but he has 89, trailing just 2 players in the National League. Very impressive part of his game. He's got the high on-base percentage. I mean, Matt really is kind of got all the sabermetric things on his side as far as I'm concerned. He does strike out. At least this year he struck out more than we would have expected, but the on-base percentage very high, over 370.
2-0 here on Starling Marte following the walk to Ike Davis, his second walk given up today. Not quite as sharp this afternoon as Lance Lynn that we've seen him certainly in the month of August. Marte first time up. Had a hit taken away by John Jay on the track in center, and that saved 2 runs. A 3-0 lead for the Pirates. Pitch number 67 from Lynn. 3-1. Time is called. Third walk, back-to-back walks by Lynn.
One thing we've seen the past couple of days, we saw Marco Gonzalez give up a run in the first inning where he wasn't, I wouldn't say he wasn't sharp, he just gave up a run and then he just went into lockdown mode. We saw John Lackey give up 5 runs early, but stayed in the game. Stayed in the game, kept putting zeros up on the board, gave his team a chance to come back and win. And so hopefully Lance Lynn will follow suit with that here this afternoon and just keep pitching. How about that swing? It was painful.
He may have hurt himself. Shortstop Jordy Mercer. They have Clint Barmas on their bench.
I'm not sure if that was because he overswung or he just lost his balance on his heel. That's not one of those crazy swings. It's just his ankle turning over, his right ankle, and he just kind of couldn't support it, so he went down on the knee. And we mentioned the injury to Gomez, and we don't know what that's going to mean for the Brewers. And
0-2.
Injuries, boy, you sure don't want them in September, do you? You're hoping to get guys back. We've talked about Molina being back, hoping that Waka's next, but when you start losing guys in the other direction in September, that can be painful.
How important now is that acquisition for the Brewers to pick up Parra from Arizona, Gold Glove defender in the outfield? Huge. 0-2. Center field, Jay, a late break. He's been busy here today. Makes the catch. Pirates strand 2. Midway through 3-0 Pittsburgh. Mirroring Tuesday, September 9th, only on FX. Lance Lynn, John Jay, and Oscar Taveras. The Cardinals averaged 4.5 runs in the month of August. Last 2 games, they've scored 22. And so far for Garrett Cole, no runs allowed through 2 innings. Lynn a base hit into right.
First inning, John Jay. Well, he was busy right off the bat. Nice play in deep center field by John Jay. Then he came to the plate. First pitch he saw he could handle. Line drive base hit up the middle for Jay.
And Jay hits it out to left field near the line. And the catch is made by Starling Marte. Back to the bag at first goes Lance Lynn. Garrett Cole was a #1 overall pick out of UCLA. His teammate Trevor Bauer. We saw him in the National League in Arizona, now with Cleveland, and unique personality to be sure. They say Garrett Cole is not the kind of guy that you see when he's on the field. We've seen him barking at the Cardinals a few times. They had the bases clearing brawl with Milwaukee earlier this year, and Carlos Gomez, the aforementioned center fielder of Milwaukee. But very quiet, very reserved. He does not pitch that way, though.
Competition sometimes changes people.
Not a bad thing, but you're right. You see a different side of a personality. Inside to Taveras, who grounded into a 4-6-3 double play first time up. Adam Wainwright will go tomorrow against Jeff Locke. We'll have that game for you on Fox Sports Midwest as Taveras draws the first walk. Labor Day sale happening right now. You can save 50% off and get MLB.com at bat premium features for only $4.99. Head to Cardinals.com/mobile today. The tying run will come to the plate in Matt Holliday. Holliday with a 2-run go-ahead single in the 8th. The decisive blast for the Cardinals, and it was a blast right back at Villanueva. Third time in Holliday's career that he drove in at least 4 runs in 2 consecutive games. And that is just foul. A little excuse me swing from Holliday. And I'm not sure we ever see that. If Matt Holliday decides to take a swing, he lets it rip. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Runners at first and second. He finished with a flourish a year ago when he hit .378 in September. Here's a 1-1. Holliday in the gap in right center field. That ball is down. 1 run is in. Taveras digging for third. They'll wave him in. He'll score. The big man has come through again. Red hot Matt Holliday. Now with 80 driven in this year.
There's a big gap in right center field, and this swing produces a ball that goes exactly in that direction. Between Lambeau and McCutchen, Taveras sees that it's going to be down right away. Not noted for his speed, but digging hard, and Oquendo sending him. Cardinals back in there.
Here's Adams with the tying run at second base. Matt is 4 for his last 33. Adams, that is. And Matt Holliday, 18 RBIs in his last 11 days. 6 ahead of the next slugger in the National League, Buster Posey, then his teammate Hunter Pence.
Surprised to find out last night with some research for the postgame show that Matt Holliday has the highest average home run distance in baseball, ahead of Stanton
This year. Wow. After watching Stanton down in Miami, I didn't think that was possible. The one he hit off of Shelby is still going.
And that's only the 6th longest home run of the season. I would love to have seen the other 5.
Oh, my goodness.
Evidently, he hit one longer than that.
It's Jorge Soler the other night. Nearly put one in Ballpark Village. And a strikeout of Adams. They bust him in. And the second strikeout for Garrett Cole. And it brings in Peralta. Peralta grounded out to third his first time up, but this guy is getting better and better as the season has worn on. Hit 250 in June, 289 in July, and 343 in the month of August. Holliday represents the tying run at second base. 2 outs in the bottom of the third. Ball 1. One ball and 1 strike.
Another thing you like about Peralta is not only is his average going up, but he's getting more 2-out hits, more hits with runners in scoring position. And that's something he wasn't doing a lot of early on. Not just getting the hits, it's when do you get them. 8-game hitting streak on the line for him this afternoon.
It's a great point. He's been coming through at key times as Peralta stays away from that slider outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. Statisticians today: Andrew Humes, Luke McLaughlin, and Barrett McLaughlin. When they're not doing diving catches behind us on the couch, they're providing great statistical information. Here's a 2-1. 3-1. Interesting here with Cole. You've got first base open. Molina on deck, who's starting to swing the bat quite well. 3 hits yesterday, a single to center. But you've got Peralta you're dealing with here that he also has been hot.
Don't like walks when you're ahead.
The 3-1 instead of check on Holliday.
Baseball people come down on that subject differently, but I'm not a big fan of pitch outs. I'm not a big fan of intentional walks unless it's an obvious situation.
Holliday now with that double to right center is 6 for 11 off of Cole, and that's it out of play.
There's an old expression in baseball, Dan, that most coaches won't use anymore because they realize how fruitless it was. They used to say, okay, don't walk him, but don't give him anything good to hit. And you're on the mound thinking, now what does that mean? I can't walk him, but I also can't give him a pitch he can hit. I mean, so throw a perfect pitch 4 times in a row is what they're telling you, which is, of course, what you're trying to do in the first place.
And he walked him. Don't walk him, don't give him a pitch to hit.
Yeah, they stopped saying that about 20 years ago. And generally, they've taken that decision out of pitchers' hands.
So 2 on and 2 outs for Yadier Molina. Molina on a hop to short and a force play at second. The Cardinals strand 2. but they pick up 2. RBIs 79 and 80 for Cardinals left fielder Matt Holliday, who is on a tear. Redbirds right back in it. It's 3-2. Neighborhood hometown grocer for 75 years. Hope you're enjoying your Labor Day. It's been a safe, happy holiday for you and your family, wherever you may be, and watching Cardinals baseball. Sit back, take it in, enjoy it. Along with Rick Horton, Dan McLaughlin with you, Jim Hayes as well. And we move to the top of the 4th, and the Pirates leading by the score of 3-2. Just get the feeling, Rick, these games in the month of September, a lot of them will be like this. Back and forth, exciting hits, exciting plays, and bottom line, exciting games.
That's what makes it fun. Lance Lynn, by the way, helping himself with that base hit last inning. Don't want to overlook that.
You know, John Lackey had a 5-run second inning. The Tom Lawless jersey is out with a Pirate hat.
Oh, I thought that was Tom.
Not sure I like that guy.
Thought that was Tom taking in a Cardinal game before he left for the airport.
You know the new rule now, you come to the ballpark with the Raboski jersey.
I saw that.
We'll try to find you and come on up. Nick Leyva, third base coach.
Autographed even.
But Lackey, the 5 runs he allowed in the second inning, and then all of a sudden he settled in and gave the Cardinals a chance to come back, which they did.
There's Nick, former Cardinal coach, longtime Cardinal minor league manager.
The 2-2. And Cole is swing and a miss. First strikeout for Lance Lynn. There's Lackey on the left and Adam Wainwright there in the background. A.J. Brzezinski in front of them. Wainwright going in game 2 tomorrow. Admittedly dealing with a dead arm stage, and we'll see what comes out tomorrow.
He believes he's mostly through that, but that's one of those things you don't really know until it happens. And a dead arm essentially is, you know, you're throwing it hard, it's just not coming out right, and you just don't have the full pop on your fastball. Everything's not quite as sharp on the off-speed pitches, and almost doesn't even have a really good explanation other than just, you'd say fatigue, overall fatigue, but it's part of being a pitcher. It comes and goes. Some days you feel good, some days you don't.
Jeff Locke, the lefty, was very good in the day game last Wednesday against St. Louis, and he'll go for the Pirates as Harrison swings and misses, and it's 1-2. Josh Harrison, leadoff man, has scored 2 runs. Singled to left in the first, reached on a fielder's choice in the second. And a base hit into left center field. Hustling out of the batter's box. Jay knows that. He'll spin and throw. Play at second base. Not in time. And the double for Harrison.
.30 doubles, a bit of a benchmark for players. You get 30 doubles in a season, you've had a good one. That's double number 31 for Harrison, who's become much more than just a guy that you play as a utility guy. He went from bench guy to utility guy to everyday guy to one of the top 5 hitters in the National League. Almost amazing to say that about Josh Harrison, but that's where he is right now.
I always liked him. I know it's easy to say that now with the kind of year he's had, but Lambeau taps it out in front of the plate. Molina pounces on it, and it's missed by Adams. Play at the plate, and they got him. Thank you very much. Harrison gunned down. Pirates run right into an out at home plate. How about Pete Kozma? Heads up play.
That's not the way you draw it up, but it sure is a nice adaptation. On the run, Matt Adams doesn't come up with the ball. There's Pete Kozma, the strong throw again. The hustle of Harrison. There's the tag. Looks out to me. I guess Clint Hurdle out there talking about perhaps the subject of blocking the plate, maybe. But heads up play by Pete Kozma. That's the second time Matt Adams has dropped the ball on the run in the last few days. You wonder whether there's something going on there, but that was nothing wrong with that throw as far as I could see from Yadier Molina. Matt just dropped it.
Now you have the question as to whether or not he was blocking the plate. There's a lane. That rule has got to go.
Well, he wasn't blocking the plate until after he caught the ball, so you're allowed to block it after you catch the ball.
And if he is blocking the plate, Josh Harrison could take out Yadier Molina, which you may recall he did a few seasons ago and put Yadi out for a couple of games. Harrison is built like a linebacker and runs like one too. You may recall that play at PNC Park. I mean, he came trucking around third base and smoked him. I've said this before. I don't play catcher. You don't play catcher. We don't have to deal with it. The potential of a collision, from a fan's perspective, it's one of the most exciting plays in the game today that's been eliminated.
Well, I think there's a degree to which baseball was trying to take away some of the danger of it, which of course we would all be for, but I just think it's gotten so murky, and the more we've looked at it, the murkier it's gotten.
2 strikeouts, both coming this inning for Lance Lynn. 4-2, no. Super Tires. That'll be September 19th. Cardinals take on the Reds. And that's at cardinals.com/promotions. So the play goes E3 and then 4-2 to catch Harrison trying to score.
Got a text from Tom Pagnazzi, who never misses a Cardinal game. And Dan, he's right behind you on the getting rid of that rule at the plate.
Again, it's easy for me to say that sitting up here. I'm not having Josh Harrison come down and put me into the front row.
And easy for Tom Pagnazzi to say sitting in Arkansas. but he's a guy that certainly understands it and understands the reality of
three-time Gold Glover.
Yeah, and the the potential danger there. Nobody wants anybody to get hurt. That's the thing you're trying to protect. But just not sure the collision rule is clear enough for players, and you'd hate to see a playoff game decided by lack of clarity on a rule.
That's one of the reasons why baseball, as Descalso flies out to left, has been adamant with replay. There have been some crucial plays as TV has become more prominent in the sport and in all of sports. The camera angles, the technology. But there's been big plays that have been missed in the past, so they said, why are we doing this if we have that technology?
Of the three things introduced this year, you've got the transfer play, the play at the plate, and instant replay expanded. I think instant replay has been the least problematic of all three of them. The transfer, they actually changed their mind and stopped calling that particular rule. The collision play has been cloudy at best, but replay has been, I would say, better than I thought it would be.
Not enough credit on that play given to Pete Kozma in my mind. Heads up. Now again, there's always somewhere for every player to go on the field. Literally every player. The left fielder can be moving on that play, anticipating something happening, right? And Pete Kozma backing it up and then throwing a strike to home plate. And Kozma rips it foul.
He's had a good impact so far. Base hit yesterday was big. Almost had a base hit his first at bat here. I'm sure a trying season for him coming back after being the starting shortstop on a pennant-winning team.
I'm sure it's happened before, probably plenty of times, but a prominent position like a shortstop on back-to-back teams that go to postseason play. One making it World Series, the other one win away, and then sent down to the minor leagues.
The nasty slider of Garrett Cole.
Could have been 4-2, instead 3-2. Here's Lance Lynn, who got it all started for the Cardinals back in the bottom of the fourth, and eventually driven in by Matt Holliday with a double that scored 2. And Lynn sends it out to right center field. McCutchen is back near the wall and makes the catch.
Wow.
Lance Lynn giving it a ride. 3-2 in favor of Pittsburgh here in the top of the 5th at Busch Stadium in St. Louis on this Labor Day. Rick Horton, Jim Hayes, Dan McLaughlin with you. Lance Lynn nearly tied this game up. Watch McCutchen get the jump. Going back. Feels for the wall with the track right there. Made the catch.
What I love about that angle is it shows you just how far he's got to go to make that play. Not playing Lance Lynn very deep, obviously. And you could hear the crack of the bat. Then you saw the feet movement of McCutchen, the jump that he got, and a long way to go. And I think there's about 40,000 people amazed that Lance Lynn hit the ball that far. And I think the guy most amazed is probably the guy on the mound right now.
I always find it interesting. You look back at what these guys do in high school, some of them college, if they head to college and don't sign out of high school. Lance Lynn was a tremendous power hitter in high school. Tons of home runs in the state of Indiana. Here's a 1-1. Ground ball, right side. Kozma ranging to his left to make the play. For a limited time, get McDonald's juicy white meat chicken McNuggets for just 25 cents each. Limited time only. Right about now, they notice, hey, we're on camera. And we see the back of heads waving. Three to two here in the top of 5. Russell Martin has walked and also flied to center. One ball and one strike on Martin. How would you assess the performance so far of Lance Lynn?
I'd say he has a chance of having the same kind of performance we saw from John Lackey, where he started out slow but then settled in and gave his team a chance. A couple of zeros on the board. He's getting a little bit more in command of his pitches. Pitch count's high, however. He's going to have a hard time getting through any more than 6, but even 6 innings, 4 zeros after the start would be a quality start by the book, and I'd say a quality start overall.
He's been such a horse. He goes deep into games in terms of pitch counts. He's at 92. We may look up today and he'll pitch the Cardinals through 6. And 26 pitches in the first and second innings as Martin serves it into right for a base hit. He does such a good job going to right field.
Done that on numerous occasions against the Cardinals, where he just takes the pitch, even whether it's inside or outside, and takes it the other way. That's the drop the bat head on a pitch down and away, but we've also seen the inside out swing by Martin. And a lot like our catcher. They're both able to do that very well, hit the ball to right field.
Now Lynn would love the double play off the bat of Davis. Popped out on a 3-1 pitch with 2 runners on back in the first and walked in the third. So 2 strikeouts, 3 walks, and now 7 hits allowed. That pitch taken inside just a bit for a ball. Davis with tremendous power, 9 home runs to 2-0. Runs to 3-0. Will they turn him loose on 3-0? Doesn't matter. Oh, it does, as it's taken for his strike. Davis thought he had ball 4, and I did too. Three and 2.
Pitch count we were worried about with Lance Lynn as far as going more than 6 innings. I think it's in danger of maybe not being able to go more than 5 innings unless he can get a couple of quick outs here. He's now at 98. Double play sure would help. Martin runs well, but the threat now of Yadier Molina behind the plate changes the running game a bit.
Not running, and the pitch is hit in the air. Long way to go for Holiday. He's there near the line and makes the catch. Battles back from 3-0 to get Ike Davis. Starling Marte robbed by John Jay in the first with 2 runners on and also walked. Outside of the Milwaukee Cubs game, 2 other games of note and relevance concerning both these teams. San Francisco at Colorado. Tim Hudson and Franklin Morales. And then Cole Hamels and Julio Teheran, the Phillies and the Atlanta Braves. Giants have won 6 straight, including their weekend sweep of Milwaukee, and they scored 31 runs in that 3-game series. Braves have won 3 of their last 5. Washington, by the way, up by 6. That's in the National League East.
Some streaky teams in the National League: the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Atlanta Braves, and the San Francisco Giants. As Kevin Seegers begins loosening, as Lance Lynn gets over 100 pitches. And those are some teams you worry about down the stretch. They've had bad streaks and good streaks. And if they catch fire at the end and kind of brings them into September, a team like the Giants, with their pitching, could go deep into the playoffs.
Here's a 1-2 pitch to Marte. Center field. Here comes Jay. Won't get there. Drops in for a hit. So 2 hits in the inning, and it brings in Jordy Mercer. Cardinals will have the top of their lineup coming up with Jay, Taveras, and Holiday. So if you even think about the potential of a double switch moving to the bottom of the inning, that would not happen. It would probably be a straight switch concerning Lance Lynn. The strike at the knees to Mercer.
And at this point in the game, you're thankful for the 7-inning start from Shelby Miller on Friday night. And then Marco Gonzalez able to go 6 innings in game 2 on Saturday. And then Lackey getting into the 7th inning yesterday. So even with all the games piling up here, the Cardinals bullpen is not overly taxed right now.
Holiday under it. Puts it away. Pirates strand 2. They have stranded 8 through 5 innings against Lance Lynn. We were talking about this earlier, but here's the play from 2012. Carlos Beltran with the throw, and that was earlier today. Home plate collision rule. And now in 2012, here it is. Beltran a strike to the plate, and watch out. Oh, what a hit there by Harrison on Molina. The other aspect, too, of collisions at home plate is injury, obviously. And you think about the money that's wrapped up into Buster Posey, the money wrapped up into Yadier Molina. If you're an owner, those are the last kind of players you want to lose. You don't want to lose anybody, but the high-priced talent, MVP, caliber-type players, I think that's part of it, too.
If you're trying to keep people from being hurt, I think you have to make the rules so clear that every major league player can describe it to you simply. And when you have coaches and managers and players saying, I don't really understand it, there's something wrong with that. And if you have to draw a line out on the field that's never been drawn on the field before to show where the catcher has to stand to make the point clear, then do that. Don't say, oh, well, we'll work it out as the season progresses. And that's kind of what baseball said. Well, we'll figure it out as we go along. That's just a bad plan.
2 balls and 1 strike on John Jay. We've seen in the National Football League the concussions with contact plays, then the lawsuit, and you wonder if that, spurred on some of that conversation too.
Well, you also have players that are bigger, stronger, and faster too.
Good point.
You're talking about guys, and you mentioned Harrison. You're not talking about, a 5'11", 180 guy scoring at the plate and knocking over Molina. You're talking about a guy that could be a linebacker in the NFL in terms of the way he's built, and he's flying down the line.
Third walk issued by Garrett Cole. StubHub, it's a great way to pick up your seats to a game. 2% back in fan rewards on every purchase, including Cardinals tickets. All in pricing. There are no surprise fees at checkout. StubHub, your ticket to upgrades and more. So leadoff walk to John Jay. Here's Oscar Taveras. Rick, you mentioned how Carpenter takes so many pitches from the leadoff spot. John Jay is on base twice. You wonder with this combination, Jay, I would have to say a little more speed than Carpenter. Would they think about hit and run, just trying to get something going?
I feel a little bit better with that if Descalso was in the second spot than Taveras. And I know Mike was talking about that being a possibility today, but he likes Taveras' potential that he can bring to that spot in terms of the power, but he's not really a contact guy yet. He swings and misses too often. So the hit and run with him, I think, is, I'm not saying impossible, but it may not be his strong suit right now.
The strike that Taveras did not like. Ike Davis had his issues with the home plate umpire in his previous at bat. He thought he had drawn a walk. Taveras with a high fly ball out to deep left field. Marte shading from the sun makes the catch. Oscar gave it a ride and slams his bat. Jay back to the bag at first. You just joined us, Matt Holliday. 2-run double to right center back in the third to get the Cardinals on the board. He's now up to 80 RBIs. Outfield is deep. We noticed in Pittsburgh just how deep this outfield of the Pirates will play. They all have good speed, in particular in left and center.
Cover a lot of ground, especially McCutchen in center. Marte, we mentioned many times, could be a center fielder as well. And it goes to the athleticism you were talking about earlier of this Pirate team.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. No balls and 2 strikes on Holiday. Holiday lines it to short. They fire to first. The throw is high, and back in there safely is Jay. Even that ball an out. Hard hit off of Holiday's bat, and a good play by Ike Davis to make sure that Jay could not advance as they tried to get the double play.
Another bullet off the bat of Holiday. Ike Davis was trying not to step on John Jay. You think there's a red spot somewhere in Mercer's glove? I mean, on his hand, not in his glove.
It's a bullet. Here's Adams. Can he bust out?
It's one of those, as it's coming to you, you're saying, I got it, I don't want it.
I don't know if you have that much time to think.
Yeah, you'd have to say that fast. That's true.
I got it. Ow! Those are the type of balls, too. A lot of times they'll knuckle on a fielder.
Yeah. Which makes you not catch the ball in the part of the glove you want to catch it in. Sometimes you get it in palm, and those are the ones that hurt.
One ball and 1 strike with 2 outs. And a runner at first base, Jay. That's the tying run. Go ahead, run at the plate. It's been an entertaining game 1 of this series so far. Inside to Adams. Be interesting, Rick, to see how Mike Matheny wants to play the 6th inning. Is it the bullpen, or do you try to squeeze 3 more outs out of Lance Lynn? A 2-1. Runner goes. Pitch taken for a ball. Throw to second and got him. Jay is caught stealing. Pop-up slide by Jay, and he looked directly right into the Cardinals dugout as if to think he was safe.
Thought the throw beat him there. And the question is, did he tag him or not?
This may be your best look at it right here. Barrett McLaughlin, our 5-year-old statistician, says out.
So does Mike Aldretti.
We head to the 6th. 3-2 Pittsburgh on top. 3-2 in the top of the 6th from Busch Stadium in St. Louis. What's on tap? It'll be Locke, the lefty, 6-3 against Adam Wainwright, who's 15-9. And we'll come your way at 6:30 tomorrow night. Our Budweiser What's on Tap. Garrett Cole has struck out, and also a single to shallow right.
I think we're at the point of the game where Lance Lynn has to earn this whole inning. If he gets the first 2 guys out, I would think you keep him in to face Lambeau, the left-handed batter. But if there's a runner on and Lambeau comes to the plate, we'll see Kevin Segrist. He's back up for St. Louis.
And yesterday what we saw was John Lackey go out to face one hitter. Then with lefties coming up, Randy Choate came in. So very similar type spot facing the Cardinals. And a strikeout. That's number 3.
And often the phone call goes to the bullpen. If there's 1 out, 1 on, you're in. I think that's the way you have to summarize that for the bullpen guy to get him ready.
Season series last couple of years, head-to-head since 2001, 33-33. The runs per game. The averages, St. Louis slightly lower. The home runs heavily favored in the direction of the Pirates, but wins and losses 33-33. Here's Harrison, who's been active today. A couple of base hits, 2 runs scored, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Top of the lineup, Lambeau on deck. Chicago in the top of the 6th, leading Milwaukee 3-0. Phillies in the top of the 9th, leading Atlanta 5-0. Harrison with a fly ball into right, backing up Tavares, and he makes the catch. So here's the decision that we're talking about.
But it's 2 outs, nobody on. You've got a guy just recalled from AAA. I'm sure there's a part of Mike Matheny that's tempted to go and get him right now, but I think Lance Lynn has earned this last out in the 6th inning. And you've got McCutchen coming up next from the right side, and he actually may have earned 2 more batters. And if you have to get to the switch hitter Neil Walker, that's when you go to Segrist now.
Lambeau has reached on an error. Doubled off the right field wall, picked up 2 RBIs, and has flied out to shallow left center. The first pitch is strike.
There's always a lot of talk about matchups, lefty, righty, and in my mind, it still makes a difference what the situation is. If you're talking about 2 outs, nobody on, you can overthink this a bit. Take out your starter because a AAA guy is up? I don't think so.
And the decision to stay with Lance Lynn pays off. He's through 6. Matt Adams due up.
Download the free McD app to get your promo code for $8 tickets to select Cardinals games. The offer includes tickets to see great Central Division rivals September 1st through the 3rd against the Pirates, and September 16th through the 18th when the Cardinals take on the Brewers. For just $8, download the McD app today. 3-2 Pirates. Bottom of the 6th. Cardinals will have Adams, Peralta, and Molina against the right-hander Garrett Cole, who has a record of 7-4 and is pretty sharp here this afternoon.
I can't remember a time watching him he wasn't. He seems to have the makeup, even though it's young in his career, being a big game pitcher. We saw that last year in postseason play. Won a game and then lost game 5 to Adam Wainwright. Adams with a fly ball out to left. Starling Marte, one away. Swing and a miss by Peralta. Once again, if the Cardinals win the World Series, Rick has to purchase a dangling earring, and that will be an ear of his choice pierced on the post-game show
For 2 weeks.
You wear it for 2 weeks, and then the best part is the tattoo. You also have to get a tattoo
Of my choosing.
Have you thought about this yet? You've had to have thought about.
Well, when the
what you're
Cardinals
gonna
went into first place yesterday, or tied for first place with the Brewers, let's just say I started working on the design. Now you, on the other hand, have a tougher chore. You have to go 3 days without talking.
Most believe that will not and cannot happen. It's not possible. Molina looks at his strike, and quickly it's 0-2.
I'm already thinking about how I'm going to actually monitor that.
Well, my wife is all over it. She thinks it's the greatest thing ever. Ground ball hit to second base.
So if they win the World Series or not, she'd like it.
Yes. Hashtag STL fan photo for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast, and it's brought to you by AT&T. Tony La Russa on the AT&T fan photo. I guess you have to purchase the row in front of you, too. Tony La Russa coming up. Our evening with Tony La Russa on September 15th. He'll be back in town. And those tickets are still available at Cardinals.com/La Russa. As Kevin Segrist will pitch here in the top of the 7th. Tony will do a 90-minute Q&A. You'll walk away with an autographed baseball. You'll have dinner and drinks and hors d'oeuvres down on the field. A lot of fun coming up, and that's September 15th, an off day for the club down here at Busch. So Segrist will get Andrew McCutchen. And Lance Lynn gives the Cardinals 6 innings and allows 3 runs. I'm going to start the evening by saying, how you doing, Tony? What are you going to do? Ask me after the game in front of all these people? That's not going to fly.
He might say that.
Oh, he will say it. You know that. You've seen him in those private settings. He's a lot of fun.
He very much is. And he's light, funny.
It's not Tony TV.
No.
2 balls and a strike on McCutchen. Doubled and scored back in the first. He's flied out to left and also struck out.
Segrist piling up the strikeouts in his short stint in AAA, and really does not have the numbers this year at the big league level, but has been dealing with arm issues. So kind of chalk it up to that and just hope he gets back on track. Not
deep
yet.
Left into Big Mac land. Andrew McCutchen. As a play-by-play guy, sometimes, as you know, Rick, you question, is that one going to get out? Should I call it a home run? I think we knew that one.
Just where is it going?
Wow. McCutchen with home run number 21, RBI number 72, and it's back to a 2-run lead.
Well, Dan, it was the crack of the bat that gave that one away. I mean, that ball was loud off the bat of McCutchen. Come on, ball, baby.
Also saw when Segrist came off the DL, the velocity not to the level we had seen it last year or earlier this season, where he was at 96, 97, and now you see him around 93. '93 in the middle of the plate, gets hit into Big Mac land. 96, he might have a chance. That pitch at 95.
That's what a home run sounds like.
.454 feet off the bat of Andrew McCutchen. So a home run and a walk. Walk issued to Neil Walker, and here's Russell Martin, who singled to right and has also walked back in the first. Miles per hour off the bat, nearly 106 for McCutchen. And a strike to Russell Martin.
The 7th inning for the Cardinals bullpen is a little bit up in the air right now. A lot of candidates. I think Pat Neshek has shown that you could hardly do a better job in the 8th inning than what he's done. And I think that has been solidified. And Rosenthal in the 9th, picking up his 40th save, second in the National League. Joins the very small list of Cardinal relief pitchers who've saved 40 games in the season. So 8-9, you're not so worried about. But how does the seventh inning play out, I think, is in question. Seth Maness getting loose now. Segrist, Martinez kind of all in the running there. And when Segrist was doing that a year ago, Dan, it didn't really matter whether the hitter was left or right-handed. He was just blowing people away. And he, in fact, most of it with fastballs.
There's a lot of great aspects of this job. One of the best parts is that you never know when an all-century player may just walk in the booth. And Lou Brock has just walked in the booth.
He's the outfielder.
He was really good.
Was he?
Yeah, he was good.
He looks familiar.
Lou just signed a baseball and threatened to throw it out of the booth. He wouldn't do that. On 1-2, and check on the runner at first. But think about that when you go down to spring training and you're affiliated with the Cardinals. It's Lou Brock and Bob Gibson, Whitey Herzog, Tony La Russa, Ozzie Smith, Bruce Sutter. All available for the players and at their disposal. Bob Gibson.
And Lou is welcome in this booth anytime he wants to be here.
A strikeout.
In fact, you could say that about any place in the stadium for Lou Brock. He's such a classy man. And here's a good pitch from Segrist. Little slider, back door. Martin gave up on it, thought it was a fastball.
So Segrist, the first 68 games, 10 earned. Last 10, it's been 12. I mean, that's not just Hall of Fame, it's all-century player Lou Brock. Segrist is done, and Maine is coming on when we come back. The ball game for St. Louis in relief of Kevin Segrist.
Long home run by McCutchen pads the lead a bit for the Pirates. It'll be up to Seth Maness to get the ground balls. That's typically what he does. Our Chevy call to the bullpen. Appearance number 61 for Seth. The ERA has creeped over 3. Gave up a 3 spot recently to make that happen. But for the most part, in the second half, he's been very good out of the Cardinals' pen. Not an overpowering guy. Works quickly, as we know. And you mentioned earlier, Dan, how good Sanchez has been off the bench, as a pinch hitter. Very productive season for him.
So Gabby Sanchez will face Seth Maness. 1 out. Pirates leading 4-2 here in the top of the 7th. Runner goes, they pitch out, and that's as easy as 1, 2, 3. That's automatic when they pitch out.
Remember when I said I don't like pitch outs? I like them
when they work.
I like them when they work. But I think you're right on this. I'm not sure Yachty needed the help, although what it did do is it kept Gabby Sanchez from swinging the bat. Couldn't reach it, even if he wanted to.
So it was a hit and run. Sanchez waved at it to no avail, and now it's 0-1.
Well, that's a wave just to try to mess up the timing of the catcher. That's all you're trying to do there, and hope that you keep Molina back just a hair longer behind the plate so he doesn't jump out and make the throw. That's a nice break.
So 2 outs, 0-2 the count. And a ground ball. Peralta to his left, and he makes the play. Seth Maness gets the ground out off the bat of Sanchez. Time to stretch on this Labor Day. 4-2. Still going for the Pirates. McCutchen is 2 for 4 with a long home run. Lynn 6 innings, and Holiday 2 more RBIs. He's up to 80. The Mazda game summary. First Cardinals player to start at all 4 infield positions in 4 consecutive games. Daniel Descalso. Over 100 years, well over 100. Cardinals baseball, and that's quite a note for Daniel Descalso.
Cardinals had a player that could have done that, Jose Oquendo, and not really surprised that it didn't happen, but it certainly could have. Played a lot of games, obviously at shortstop, which is what he really had as a natural position. Played a whole season as a first baseman. Also played some second and could play third, the outfield, and as we know, he pitched.
That's next for Daniel.
He's done that already too, but I wouldn't think the starting part would work.
Probably not.
He's got a strong arm, but Rick Hummel did ask Mike Matheny, okay, where's he starting tomorrow? And Mike didn't want to answer that.
On the inside corner, and a strikeout of Descalso, who's 1 for 3 today, and that's strikeout number 4.
Didn't think that was a strike. Still talking with the home plate umpire, and Might have hit that inside corner just barely.
Pete Kozma is 0 for 2.
Colton Wong, we thought might be ready to play tomorrow, appears to be ready to pinch hit today in the on-deck circle. That's a good sign. Glad to see that from Colton, who was a little bit dizzy after that fall he took late in the game yesterday afternoon.
(15-1) with 3 or more runs of support for Garrett Cole. Cardinals have been getting those signature wins late.
Cardinals did the odd roster moves, Dan, that we talked about earlier when Marco Gonzalez and Tyler Lyons were sent out, Tony Cruz, all of them really just kind of a juggling to make sure that Molina could come back, that they could kind of get their pitching straight. But we do expect them to expand their rosters, and today's really the day you could do that. The Cardinals have not added yet, but you would expect that to happen tomorrow. And the question will be, who does John Mozeliak and Mike Matheny think can help this team win?
Base hit by Kozma. Marte cuts it off. He was playing deep and holds Kozma to a single. Very good play by Starling Marte in left field.
Usually a left fielder is a guy that isn't a very good outfielder. Let's just put it that way. That's what you normally do with your guy that's not necessarily gifted defensively, but Marte is not only a guy that's been a center fielder, but how about the arm? Left field arms are rare. He backhands his ball in the corner, and this is a long throw from that corner to second base, and it is right on the money on one hop.
The Pirates' perspective, you do get concerned about Wong's potential to tie this up. He had some good at-bats over the weekend. He has 10 home runs. Good cut at 95, that pitch from Garrett Cole.
Cardinals also have Carpenter and Brzezinski from the left side. Grichuk has been swinging the bat very well from the right side, with Borges as well.
Oh, 2.
Some of those players we were talking about from AAA, the Memphis club is in the playoffs, and again, there's talk about Waka maybe pitching one of those games, perhaps Friday night, as Jim Hayes reported. And their pitching's really been terrific in the second half, their overall pitching. But they've got some players there that they're going to have to decide, do you keep them there for the playoffs or do you send them to St. Louis?
Here's an 0-2 pitch to Wong.
I think the big league club, what they'll do is they'll just base that on need. What do we need right now? I think to a degree the Cardinals need a right-handed hitting first baseman. I mean, if you're going to spell Matt Adams ever.
Name that would come to mind, Xavier Scruggs.
Exactly.
1-2 pitch. Wong out to deep right field. It is tied up. You betcha. 4-4.
Pirates weren't concerned when you said it about the power of Colton Wong. They are now. What a moment.
Rick, yesterday, I'm telling you, he just missed a home run. He hit it off the end of the bat. Had a great swing. And now the umpires, I'm not sure why they're coming together here. They're looking into the Cardinal dugout, or rather the Pirates dugout. Did somebody miss a bag? That's the only thing I can think of.
Well, they're making sure a pitch isn't thrown before they've got a big understanding of it, and I think they're through that understanding as they checked with their video people, and now Clint Hurdle, actually Ray Sears, just coming to the mound. And really that would have to be an appeal play first anyway.
Exactly. First pinch hit home run of the season for the Cardinals. There's your curtain call.
I noticed how everybody was very careful about knocking Colton on the head when he went through the receiving line. Let's not bump him too hard. The guy just smoked his head yesterday.
And a ball to Jay. The Cardinals have tied it up 4-4. It's now 11 home runs for Colton Wong, as Jay pops it back in foul.
Fastball low and in. Colton has shortened his swing a little bit from April and May, but still has the power to go along with that swing. And credit Pete Kozma for being on base in front of him. And that's kind of the player Kozma is. After it's all said and done, big things happen, and there are times where he's right in the middle of it. Maybe going unnoticed. You mentioned his defense early on, but Kozma getting that base hit in front of Wong.
And that's slicing fair into the corner. Past Marte. Jay on his way to second. Head on over to third. He is safe, sliding in with a triple.
We talked about the defensive play of Marte, who goes into the corner, and I wonder whether that ball was out of play or not. It hit the railing, and Marte was trying to keep that ball from getting past him, but it ricocheted behind him. Guessing those rails are in play. The result, a John Jay triple and Garrett Cole out of this game.
We had a call like that a few years ago. I believe it's in play when you talk about the rails. I believe. I hope. left, John Jay with a triple following the 2-run homer. And Herschel Parks, a friend of the booth and guest of Lou Brock, has turned 95. So happy birthday to Herschel Parks. So here's the former Cardinal, John Axford. Axford is our Chevy call to the pen.
And any friend of Lou is a friend of ours. John Axford, former Cardinal. Now playing with his 3rd Central Division team. And a key situation for him facing a left-handed batter. But we've seen Axford. We know what he's like. He's got the good live fastball. Command sometimes a problem. Infield in for Pittsburgh.
Oscar Taveras. Inside. What'd you just say?
I believe I said command sometimes a problem.
That's
but he
what you said.
Throws hard. Yeah. So be alert. We'll take one of those Adrian Chambers moments.
Would we ever? The wild pitch by the Cubs and led to a Cardinal win in that great run of 11. Here's a 1-0 pitch. Nice play by Martin. The soft hands to pick it in the dirt. And it's 2 balls and no strikes. Here's a 2-0. Off speed pitch taken high. Holiday is on deck. Well, you got to love these September games. Pennant race and great moments that come along with it. Having some fun here the last 3 games. 3-0 pitch. 3-1.
What happens, Dan, is at-bats that seem meaningless in June and July and August become extremely important in September. I mean at-bats in the 5th inning of a game, 6th inning of a game, and when you get in late September, it's really from pitch 1 that you start paying attention.
Nearly a wild pitch. Martin to his right to make a great play and save a run. Rick, you were spot on. As we saw, Axford does lack control at times.
It's the exasperating part of coaching and managing John Axford, because you know how good he can be. And really, that's meant to be a compliment, because he's a guy that was a closer, and I mean a lights-out closer for the Milwaukee Brewers, and he just has moments where he doesn't know where it's going, you don't know where it's going, and then you wonder, can you afford to have him in the game or not? And that's exasperating as a coach.
And you wonder if you're Russell Martin, you want to call certain pitches, but you're afraid he might be 2 feet away from where you want it. So it also exasperates the situation in that regard as well.
And his split is really the key that we're talking about there. He's got a split that's nasty, that dives, and breaking ball that's nasty and dives. But, you know, if they're nasty and diving into the left-hander's batter's box and you've got to try to backhand it, how do you put that signal down? You can see how he's kind of on his toes. Martin is just, it's like he's a goalie. He's not receiving the ball right now. He's blocking it. I mean, he's blocking every pitch. He's not comfortable behind the plate, nor should he be.
Peter Borges will run for Oscar Taveras. Cardinals get speed. I'm sure they'll shift Jay to right field and keep Borges in center. So defensively, you think you get a little better with this move too. Cardinals have tied it up with a Colton Wong pinch hit home run.
And you might say, is this premature to bring in Borges? But what you also do is you get him bearing down on the middle infielder for a potential double play ball.
Good point.
You'd say, well, wait a minute, he's not even the go-ahead run. The go-ahead run's at third.
Dick Lewis is watching in Charlotte today. Huge Cardinals fan, celebrating his 82nd birthday. Holiday would love to give him a present right here. 2 balls and no strikes. The next two, the Cardinals slugger. That's outside and low. 3-0. You know he's got the green light here.
If he walks Holiday, there's no chance Axford stays in this game. You even wonder about him being in right now, as wild as he is.
3-0 pitch. Holiday looks at a strike. From the Pirates' perspective, if Holiday would walk, I'm not sure that's necessarily the worst thing. Axford can't find the strike zone.
Well, they've got to be
and
more.
And then you have Adams coming up to face a lefty.
Justin Wilson will be ready for Adams, and I agree 100%.
This crowd is in it. The 3-1 base hit. Holiday delivers again. A 3 RBI day for Matt Holiday. Birds on top. 5-4. You don't see this type of reaction in April, do you?
The emotion of John Jay on his triple. Now when he scores, that's a September run right there. Not only for John Jay, but how about the bench reaction? First place team getting the lead? You bet. Holiday acknowledging.
Axford out. Lefty coming on. 4th one to come. It's 5-4. Matt Holiday, a 3 RBI day as he has carried this team over the weekend and again today. Justin Wilson is in for the Pittsburgh Pirates, his 62nd appearance. And this is our Chevy call to the pen. $11 RBIs for Holiday in the last 3 games. 11. Our crowd today, 43,347. 43347.
Don't stop now.
And now it's Matt Adams with runners at first and second. 1 out. 5-4 St. Louis. You have to wonder about Pat Neshek. and his availability. He is one of the bullpen guys that'll be vocal with the Cardinals and say, look, I'm just not right. I need a day. And Carlos Martinez is throwing in the pen, and not Neshek. Slowly hit to the right side. Holiday is tagged for the out. That's a heads-up play to make sure he stays out of 2.
The only other option is for Walker to throw this ball to first and then get Holiday in the rundown, but he's so close to second that he felt like he had to tag him first. And by the time he tagged Holiday, eluding the tag, or at least trying to, no chance to get Adams. So very smart base running by Matt Holiday.
Now it's Peralta. Grounded to third, flied out to right, also walked. Runners at first and third. First pitch popped foul and out of play. The Pirates have Marte, Mercer, and the pitcher spot coming up. St. Louis with their first lead of the afternoon, 5-4. There's a look at Carlos Martinez. This time last year, he was starting to all of a sudden become your 8th inning guy. The 0-1. Driven into right center. McCutchen with his speed makes the catch. But what an inning for St. Louis. Began with a single by Cosma. That's launched in the bullpen and right. Long tied it up. Jay the triple. Holiday brought him in. September baseball does not get any better than this. Fox Sports Midwest. Let's go to our studio and a Bob Burrito Sports Update with Pat Paris. Pat. A little history today in baseball. Cardinals could have another comeback win. And think about it, Pete Kozma has been at the center of it yesterday and again today.
Kozma also made the nice play defensively, but he started a rally here today, won yesterday, and you know his troubles with the bat were certainly well chronicled a year ago. He just kind of got into a funk, but he seems to be swinging the bat with a little more authority. Carlos Martinez, our Chevy call to the bullpen. As you mentioned, no Neshek here for the 8th inning today. You normally would see him. And you'd have to suspect that after playing catch as he does, and you mentioned he went to the manager and said, you know, I'm not sure I'm ready today. And honesty in those situations is a good thing.
2-0. Let's take a look at Holiday trying to either get in a rundown or avoid the double play. It's such a quick play. Sometimes you don't pay attention. Was he tagged with the glove and the ball in the glove? Oh. Ball is in the hand and then the glove.
And they call him out, and he would have been out anyway. But it doesn't ultimately matter. But if it would have been a double play, it would have mattered. I mean, they're not calling him out of the baseline, but if the umpire would have said safe there instead of out, he would have gone over and tagged him again. So I don't think the result's any different, but it could have been. Had they completed the double play, we'd have had a review on that.
Well, this is why I think it could have been significant. If he is called safe, Walker then throws to first. Holiday is sitting down and potentially double play in that regard too.
Well, I think he would have just tagged Holiday again. If he said you missed him, I think he was laying on the ground next to him. I think he would have just tagged him. I think he'd already gotten to the decision by that point that he wasn't going to be able to get a double play. He'd already figured that out. Good base running either way by Matt Holiday.
3-2 on Starling Marte. So the Cardinals pick up 3 in the bottom of the 7th to take their first lead, 5-4. Outfield is straight away. Borges in center, by the way. Jay is in right, and a leadoff walk. To an extent, it's interesting. No one warming up behind Martinez because you know it can unravel at times quickly for him. And you wait too long, and all of a sudden, you're in trouble.
My guess is the dialing's going on right about now for the bullpen phone.
Here is Jordy Mercer. Bunting and pushed it foul.
I think the logical idea would be to have a left-hander up, probably Sam Freeman. There's the dialing. And it is Sam Freeman.
The bunt is pushed foul, and it's 0-2. Travis Snyder is on deck. If you're wondering about one-run wins, and we showed you earlier, the season series between the two clubs has been even over the last couple of years. In terms of one-run games, favors St. Louis.
I'm surprised by that. As good as the Pirates were a year ago at one-run victories.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. Martinez wants a strikeout or a double play. How about the double play? Nope. Ground ball finds a hole. Base hit into left. So leadoff walk and now a single. And here come the Pirates. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Cardinals. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Snyder has been announced. We'll see if the Pirates want to bunt here and put 2 in scoring position.
Classic baseball truth is you play for the tie at home and you play for the win on the road. So if you can bunt the winning run or the go-ahead run in the scoring position, that's what you do late. You always try to just tie the game at least at home. So you bunt a little bit more at home than you may on the road.
As you watch Martinez, it's been an interesting year with him. Why is he not as effective here in 2014 as he was a year ago?
Well, he's not as sharp, clearly, and I think he's lost a little bit of his, I don't want to say style, but
center field, Borges trying to deke the runner and still makes the catch. I'm not sure,
or was he
exactly
deking himself?
what he was doing, but hey, he made the catch.
Was he trying to put the glasses down? He seemed very unsure. Where is that ball? The glasses are up now. And they were then too. And there he goes. Glasses down. I got it. That's multitasking.
And now it's Harrison back to the top of the lineup. He's had a good day. 2 runs scored, a single and a double.
But to expand on what I said about Martinez, Dan, I think he has a flair about him and almost an arrogance that I think has been tamed a little bit. And maybe he's tamed it a little bit too much. I mean, I like the fact that he has a lot of passion. And he's tried to maybe control the passion so he can control the strike zone a little bit. But I think he's maybe kind of tinkering that. Maybe he's dialed it down a little bit too much.
Took some off that pitch, and now he's got Harrison at 0-2. What does Molina want to put down on this very important 0-2 count?
I'd be careful inside to Harrison because he has just been crushing the ball in the inner half. He just drops the head. Stay away with him.
Here's the 0-2. Popped up. Foul territory. Adams is over. Oh, he slides and makes the catch. Beautiful play by the big man. Sliding near the dugout. His teammates and coaching staff there to help him. And a big catch by number 32.
Outstanding play. And the cheerleaders behind him. Long and Oquendo. That's the only way he makes that play, too. You've got to slide. You can't go head first. And he also popped up and was ready to throw it, too.
So he may have had a tough day at the plate and a tough few days, but a big out there. And now it's Andrew Lambeau, 1 for 4 with an RBI double back in the second. Runners at first and second. Strike one.
So, Carlos, throw it like you throw 100. And nobody on the planet can hit you. Offensive position. Don't play around with him. Go after it.
0-2. Listen to this crowd. Busch Stadium is ready to erupt with one more strike. The 1-2. Listen to Cardinal Nation. They're loving it. presented by the authority of the St. Louis Cardinals. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. 24 hours ago, we weren't sure if Colton Wong would even be playing today or this week. Well, he played today, took one at bat, and delivers our Nissan drive of the game to tie it up. Off the bench, the first pinch hit home run this year. Yadier Molina against Jenmar Gomez. Mentioned earlier this season how the Pirates are excited about his future, which they eventually think will land him in the starting rotation.
Been very good for them this season. The Pirates bullpen has been up and down. They've had some guys performing as well as a year ago, some not. And Pirates, I don't want to say they have bullpen problems, but we saw with Axford today, he's not, I would say, reliable at this point. And Wilson, who we saw, has been in and out. So Pirates have issues of their own.
Here's an 0-1.
I think people are glad to have Yachty back.
The top of the 8th began with a walk and a single, and you're thinking, uh-oh. And then it was a fly out, a pop out, great play by Adams, and a strikeout to end the inning. 5-4 St. Louis. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Yadier Molina.
And I know that everybody in a Cardinal uniform will want to downplay Yachty's influence on that happening in the top of the 8th inning.
Just thinking the same thing.
But how can you ignore it? I mean, you downplay it because you don't want to insult anybody else. That's the point. But Yachty's familiarity with the Cardinal pitchers, his ability to get a young pitcher like Carlos Martinez to figure it out and get outs despite the adversity. Yachty was with him all the way. And they celebrate together.
Little chopper slowly hit. Harrison bare hands and makes an outstanding play. So many things have to happen right on that play. Get himself in a position to throw, but then a barehanded play, as you know, Rick, is so tough in trying to get the feel of the baseball.
Well, you're doing two things at once right here. You're still running, and you're trying to get your balance and throw on the money all at the same time. And what you said about getting your body in a position to throw, that might be the hardest part. Is the ball spinning off the bat? What's the correct lane to come in to make that play so you're not too off balance to be able to make that throw, or the ball doesn't squirt away from you? That's a play that third basemen make look easy, and it's not. Just try it one day in your backyard. If somebody roll you a ball, throw the ball behind you on the money about 100 feet away, not that easy. You can just try that at fantasy camp next year, Dan.
It's not pretty, as you know. 1-1 pitch. Little flare out to shallow left. Drops in for a hit. Descalso is aboard. Known as the secret weapon, Cardinals third base coach Jose Oquendo. His bobblehead coming up. 25,000 fans entering with a ticket receive an Oquendo bobblehead courtesy of Coca-Cola and Deerbirds. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/promotions.
What are they doing on the right there? Delivering the bobblehead? Is it secret or something? Oh,
sure.
Secret weapon. I get it. Took me a second. And how do you say bobblehead in Spanish is my other question.
You say everything else in Spanish. You're supposed to know that.
Probably just one of those words you just say with an accent and pretend.
El bobblehead.
Bobblehead.
El bobblehead.
I guess it would be la cabeza, so it would be la bobblehead.
You got it down.
La Babu Cabeza.
We're going to have to ask Jose how you say that.
I can't wait.
Matt Carpenter has moved to the on-deck circle. Pete Kozma has started 2 rallies in back-to-back games. A check on the runner at first, Descalso. We saw that the Cardinals, with Pete Kozma many times as an everyday player, when he would struggle, would hit and run with Pete when he was at the plate. And you wonder if with a lead, if that's something they think about here.
I think it'd be a great idea.
Kozma into center, but that'll carry to McCutchen, and back to first goes Descalso. And here comes Matt Carpenter off the bench.
1 for 4 day for Kozma, but 3 good at-bats, including that one. And that's how you have to measure it. This ball is smoked by Pete. Right on it.
Rosenthal. The lead stays at 1 run. Will try to close out his 41st save. Carpenter looks at a strike. Oh, 1. McCutchen, Walker, and Martin due up. And remember, Pedro Alvarez is on the bench for Pittsburgh. The ground ball that's hit to short across the diamond. Let's head to the 9th. Part of the lineup coming up against Cardinals closer Trevor Rosenthal when we come back. The Central on Labor Day. Chevy Cole to the pen. And Trevor Rosenthal trying to make it 41 of 46 and save opportunities. The splits, they do stand out. What he's done at home as compared to the road, where he's been much better statistically. Here's McCutchen. First pitch, a breaking ball, and it's popped up. Molina near the screen, and it's out of plays for strike one.
I'm not sure McCutchen was planning on swinging at that first pitch, but it was a hanging breaking ball, and his eyes lit up, and he jumped at it. And Rosenthal is going to be facing the tough part of the order here, 3, 4, 5 for the Pirates, McCutchen, Walker, and Martin. And as you mentioned, Alvarez lurking. Not sure where you hit Alvarez. I would say they'd let Ike Davis hit for himself.
There's one. Jay's got it, and a big one. McCutchen is the first out. A reminder that Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Bud Light Lime, the perfect beer for whatever happens. And by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals.
2 curveballs for Trevor Rosenthal to start the inning.
Neil Walker gets a changeup at 85 and strike one. Again, a changeup up and in. Walker 3 for 5 with 2 doubles off of Rosenthal. If you're wondering, Pedro Alvarez is 1 for 7 against the Cardinals closer. Another changeup. What's he want on 1 and 2?
Your closer comes in, throws 5 pitches. He's capable of throwing 98 and hasn't thrown a fastball yet. I would say that fastball would look pretty quick right about now, but he's going to throw another changeup.
He got him! 2 away! Final hope for Pittsburgh. Their catcher, Russell Martin. Strike one. The 0-1 pitch. Strike 2. Here's an 0-2. Almost backed up and dropped in for strike 3. Roof would have blown off this place. The 1-2. Martin is always a smart hitter on those inside pitches and not afraid to take a pitch that hits him.
Last warm-up toss for Rosenthal just about knocked Yadier Molina over. It was a fastball he threw about 100 miles an hour. Yadi hasn't called a fastball yet.
2-2 the count. Pitch number 11 from Trevor Rosenthal. And now time is called. Matt Holliday, 3 RBIs, 2 for 4, a double, a single. A span of 132 games, the Brewers have been in first place. That's in jeopardy. The 2-2. 3-2 pitch. Ground ball right side. Rosenthal race to the bag. Bobbled, and the Pirates are still alive. Martin hustling down the first base line to keep this game going.
The bobble made it close. Even if he does catch it, he's safe. And that'll be Matt Adams' error number 2 today. And life for the Pirates. Davis out of the game, Sanchez in. I'm just glad Alvarez isn't at the plate right now.
First pitch, taken for a ball. One ball and one strike. Fans on their feet here in St. Louis. Again, the Pirates down to their final strike. Can Rosenthal put him away? The 1-2. Got him! You want sole possession of first place, Cardinal Nation? You got it! Game number 137 and one away to start the final month. It's going to be a wild ride. Some fun here today, Labor Day at Busch Stadium.
Cardinals again showing here this afternoon that they have learned how to come back in a game. Rosenthal sharp in the 9th, but so was Carlos Martinez in the 8th.
An electric atmosphere here at the ballpark. The Cardinals in sole possession of the Central. Wong tied it up. The Cardinals then took the lead and held on 5-4.